Welcome, lords and ladies, kings and queens, my noble court. I am Lord Master Leonis, your humble scribe and archivist and curator of this fine establishment. Today, I'm going to be reacting to a video I've been wanting to react to for a while and got tied up with other things. This is Psychro VT's introduction video, his lore video, if you will, called I Am Psychro. Psychro has been a pretty prevalent person in the community. He's one of the leaders in the pod, and he's one of the bigger names that tries to help people with their AI creations. So we're going to be doing our typical with a minimal react and a maximal react, and the minimal react will not be on YouTube, unfortunately. As I said in my previous video where I reacted to CJP, my intention is that I think a video should be viewed as a singular unit, and that's a certain type of appreciation that you can get for the video that way. And there's a different type of appreciation when you see someone dive into it, dig apart all of its little bits and pieces, and like try to figure out what's being said, etc. Deep dives, for lack of a better term, which is what I do normally. But I like to get both of those appreciations, so that way I feel I've given the piece a full look over in every meaningful way I can, and that way we get a better overall view of the piece itself and hopefully the intent and the story that the author of the piece is attempting to tell us. So, with all that gobbledygook out of the way, let us begin on our minimal react, shall we? This is I Am Psychro by Psychro VT. Psychro, well, my bad, on YouTube he is Psychro the Friendly Survival Specialist. Let's see how well he survives, shall we? Damn, that just instantaneously ends. There's no like, there's not even like an end screen on it. Damn, man. All right, well, definitely looking at it, he had a lot of mask designs. I like the different mask designs. The medieval mask design was really cool. The skull mask design was really cool. This ancient magic of eating through his gas mask. I will say you missed an excellent opportunity, and maybe you didn't play Call of Duty like I did back in the day, but you missed an excellent opportunity to make, like, since it mentions shotguns so much, to make your pistols like Judges or Mozus, because those are shotgun pistols. That would have been pretty cool. First impressions, I think this is pretty accurate to the personality he portrays online. He's very goofball-y, but also kind of serious when he needs to be. So I think that matches pretty well. I like this idea of a guy who's just the concept of surviving the crazy shit of the apocalypse is so mundane to him that he's just making a game and a joke and a dance day out of it. Like, he just does not care. Oh, what? There's a death claw over there? Whatever, it's Tuesday. What I was a little confused about is that he kind of jumps around between like a post-apocalypse world, like a modern, clean city. I'm unclear if that's like part of the same world, if that was just like some AI jank. But you did have that whole shot of you driving the car, though, so I don't think that was AI jank. I think that was put in on purpose. Is that like moving through dimensions or universes, or like something similar? Moving through timelines similar to Sin? I am curious about the swapping between post-apocalypse and like a clean city. I'm curious if there's like a timeline there where the apocalypse happened while you were alive, maybe, and something caused you to live long enough to be in post-apocalypse world, or if the post-apocalypse is relatively new. I also noticed he had some supernatural / paranormal ideas in there, ghosts and ghoulies and such. So this is a world that has both post-apocalyptic mutated nastiness and also supernatural entities, which is interesting because you don't usually see those two mixed into the same world. That's a very interesting idea. I feel like you could do a lot with that storytelling wise. That would be a really cool story, like a post-apocalyptic ghost hunter where the world is in post-apocalypse, but ghosts and such are real, and maybe not everyone who died has a spirit that lingered, but probably a lot of them. So that would be an interesting tale to tell. I think that would be really fun. But overall, this is just sort of a bop. The style of music too, I like it. It's very bouncy, kind of more, I don't know if I would call it swing exactly, but there's a lot of swing elements to it. It seems a little like modern swing, maybe like a modernized swing music. I'm not sure if that has a specific name for the genre. Let's go ahead and read the description, see if outro song credit. Was there an outro song? Let's see, mature language, 18 plus only, viewer discretion is advised, hoarded by the dragon's treasure. Oh, so there's not really a description or lyrics. What is this? Yeah, there's not much of a description or lyrics. To be fair, this video was made a while back. It's more in the early era, I would say a few months ago. I'm seeing more often we are seeing people including their lyrics and some kind of brief description of the story they're telling in the description. But when this all first kicked off and the first AI music videos that were inspired by Skyebro's were starting to come up, we didn't see as much of that. Skyebro's doesn't really give long descriptions of the stories in his videos, so I can't say I'm surprised. It is pretty normal for the era that was the case. Oh, hey, look, Skyebro's actually reacted to this. He says a lot of personality. There is a lot of personality in this, that's for sure. So I'm going to turn on the CCs. They're not perfect, but we can get an idea of the lyrics and hopefully we can get most of them correct. And we will begin our maximal react. So let's go. See that what you just heard there, that do 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 do, it just did, that makes me think of swing music. But the music overall doesn't sound like straight swing. It's like swing mixed with something. I did not notice he was drinking orange juice through his mask this early in the video, but I really like that like bouncy ba da 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 ba da 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 sort of feel that he's going for with this.
Haunted house, I've seen worse. Monsters screaming, I'll go first. If the fridge starts growling back, well, that's just Tuesday on my track.
Yeah, if the fridge keeps growling back, that's just Tuesday on my track. Yeah, I like this a lot, this concept of I just don't care. I know so much about defeating these things, about putting them down, about dealing with them. I've been doing it for so long. I've been doing it so well for so long that at this point, they are no more dangerous to me than a dog or a wolf or something. Like, I know how to fight that. It's a beast in the forest. You go in the forest, you're gonna find beasts. It's just kind of how it is. That's sort of his take on the mutated, horrible monstrosities of the post-apocalypse. And it makes sense that if this was a thing that happened to humanity, there would be some people who would adapt like that. And I like seeing this concept.
I survived the paranormal, I survived.
I like this little like recording black and white thing. I think this is an overlay you can put into your video in DaVinci. So I wonder if he was using DaVinci for this. It's probably an overlay you could put in multiple different editing programs, but DaVinci is a really good one.
The chaos and I will guide you through this haunted house. I'll take you on a wild ride.
So is this guy Grizzly is what I'm curious about, because he pops up a few times here. I don't know. He looks like tactical. I don't know if Grizzly's normal look is tactical, but he's got the bear helmet on. I like this like anime star symbol he's got going on here. Like he's just having a great time. Also, is this still post-apocalypse or are we in normal times now? Did a whole roller coaster actually survive the apocalypse? That would honestly be funny as hell if you had a roller coaster that mostly survived intact. And so it's just something people in the post-apocalypse go do for fun.
Right, lock and load, no place to hide. Shotguns blazing in my hands tonight. I'll break the fear with it.
Okay, I really like this visual here where we see the eyes glowing. I am curious, because he does seem to have some kind of powers. Is that part of the universe prior to the apocalypse, or did he get a mutation? This also strikes me, like I said earlier, it strikes me like he's been doing this long enough that the post-apocalypse has to have been going on for a while, which leads me to believe he might even have some sort of like slowed aging or immortality mutation. Now, I do want to take a moment to point out here, I pick things apart and I try to come up with ideas of what they could be, especially when it comes to story stuff. I do think that to some degree, this song is goofballing. And so not necessarily everything we see or everything he says is going to be like hard-coded storyline for the character per se. At least that's the vibe I get. So if that's not the case, then Hopefully Psychro can correct me if he sees this. But otherwise, I kind of feel like there's a bit of a balance where some of this is actual story that's being told. So I get the idea that him being an expert survivalist who's done this forever and just knows this so well that it doesn't matter. Like, it's that line from the Street Fighters movie where Bison tells, I want to say it's Chun-Li, the day that M. Bison destroyed your village was the most important day of your life, but for me it was Tuesday. And that's basically the same vibe Psychro's taking here. Like, these monsters are horrifying existential crises to you, but to me, this is just Tuesday. So I think that is very much a core part of the storytelling for the character. So that's one reason why I'm asking the question about whether he has a longevity or a immortality mutation, or maybe he even has a regeneration mutation that would facilitate that. And the other reason I ask is because we see him in modern city sort of locations, although that could just be part of the goofballing. So I'm willing to take that anything we see of him in like a city or a nightclub or something similar is sort of just the goofballing. It's not an actual existent part of the universe necessarily. Again, feel free to correct me, Psychro, if I'm wrong, but it does give me that vibe. I feel like the post-apocalyptic part of the story is more like the actual universe we're dealing with. So if not, though, if either he was present pre-apocalypse and is present this long after apocalypse, or it sounds and feels to me like long after the apocalypse, then maybe he has a longevity mutation. Or the possibility could remain that he has the option to move into other people's worlds. So one thing I've been noticing with the Skyebro cinematic universe is everyone seems to kind of have their own universe, their own world they're existent in, but there's a degree of ability to sort of overlap and move between each other's universes. So that's a very interesting idea that's been going on. So it's also possible that all the cityscape stuff is just him in someone else's universe.
Every chance, time today.
The other thing is like all this glowy stuff. This gives me the vibe that he probably does have some kind of radiation mutation thing, especially since all of his powers are generally green in color. That really gives me a radiation vibe. So he's probably got some kind of mutated superpower from the post-apocalypse. Also, this combined with some of the stuff we see like design-wise in the background and the fact we do see a nuke go off later in the video leads me to believe that his apocalypse in his universe is a nuclear apocalypse. That combined with the gas mask aesthetic, that is usually something used in either a nuclear post-apocalypse or a biological weapon, post-apocalypse, where there was like a virus or something like that, and the people who survived are either people who avoided infection or developed an immunity to whatever it was.
I am Psychro, gas mask on and I'm ready to go on. I am Psychro, shotguns blazing, take it fast or slow. I am Psychro.
Brother, why do we not see more of this, by the way? This shot right here is so damn cool of you holding like the rocket launcher. I know the shotgun is like your main weapon, at least in this, the shotgun is like your main weapon of choice. But goddamn, does this ever go hard, bro? Like, we need more of this aesthetic right here. This is sort of like, with a generic background, this kind of comes off as a little bit more World War I, World War II, except for the bright colors, you know? Matte this down to like forest green or something like that, and you'd be like right on it. Forest green or like a gray color, you'd be right on it.
The friendly survival space.
Hold on, I need to go back to that. I love this effect on his eyes. Like, he has a gas mask on, right? So you can't really see his face, but he still expresses so much personality through his eyes. You see times where it's like this, where he's got like the big anime eyes. But then you also see times when it's like the gas mask is just the plain circles with just generic green glow or no real effect on them, and he kind of comes off as sort of faceless, more serious in his design. And then you also had, there was one earlier where he had like the anime star effect when he was on the, what is it called? The roller coaster.
Specialist.
See here too, if you look at his eyes here, they have an effect on them that has like these sort of like little shadows in here that still kind of make him look soft even though he's wearing the gas mask.
Step into the fire, I'll get you through this mill.
This gives me very All Might, I am here style vibes. Oh, also, this is so good. See, this is again, I'm talking about, he looks absolutely deadly in this shot. In this shot here, you just have green glow with like this sort of green steam coming off of it. He does not look like Mr. Friendly in this shot. He looks like if you approach this guy with anything other than absolute respect, you are about to find yourself in one hell of a bad day. This too, similarly. This could kind of go for a couple of vibes. I'll be honest, this gives me very Warhammer 40k Mechanicus vibes right here. And maybe that's the intention. But he's got lights coming out of his eyes. He kind of comes off as very cold, machiney. I'm sorry that I keep harping on this, but this is so insane to me that he's able to pull off so many different concepts, ideas, looks, personalities with just changing the base design of his mask a little bit and the way that the eyes look on the screen. You get so much out of such a little bit of change. In this case, we have a lot more change. He's got the fancy, this is what gives me sort of the Mechanicus vibes, is you've got the whole cloak going on here. I see a little more machine down here, and it looks like he's wearing some kind of Mechanicus pack back here. This design is way more of an overhaul. But if we look at just the mask's only gone through a little bit of design change, really. It's more or less the same mask. It's just been segmented into pieces and foreshortened a little bit. And the colors for the filters are changed. And then he just changes the eyes.
Ghost in the hallway, try to scream.
See, now we're back to big anime eyes.
Boo, so I scream louder, cause that's what I do. Monster claws, dripping red. I tripped, I slipped. Oops, now it's dead. I tell.
Where'd this blood come from? This spurting out. I think that's probably just an AI quirk. This was made how long ago? 5 months ago. So this was made, I think he actually made this maybe like a week after my Crybrows react. I remember this came out because I remember looking at his channel after the Crybrows react to figure out who he was, and this was not on his channel yet at that time. So roughly the same time period as when I came out with my first react video is when he made this. So yeah, back then a lot of things were less refined than they are now. But we're right back to like the friendly survivalist goofy thing. I'm not sure what he did to make this die, but I like the idea of just like, oh, I tripped and fell. Oh well, I guess the thing's dead now. There's definitely room to have sort of that like goofball-y, it looks like you didn't do anything purposefully, but you tripped and fell, and when you tripped and fell, you just so happened to knock this one wood board over in the perfect way to hit the activation button on something that normally isn't explosive, but because of the situation you're in, it would be explosive, and then that blows up and blows the monster's head off kind of vibe going for here.
Bad jokes while I fight the night. If it doesn't kill me, well, it just might, but
I'm gonna stop trying to pause for all the different mask stuff because I'll be here all day if I do that. But just the amount he gets out of the eyes and the mask design is so good.
stand tall even if I fall, 'cause duct tape.
See, so like this whole shot here is in like a clean city. If we go back, this is all like modern city vibe. Oh, you can kind of see some of his cheeks and stuff in this shot. But if you look here, like, especially we go back to this shot here, this is like modern day New York or Chicago, right? So this is what I'm talking about. I'm not 100% sure if this is part of his story. I suppose with the grayscale, you could argue this is still post-apocalyptic, but it kind of looks like there's blue sky in the back here, like it's normal day, and these buildings do not look dilapidated in any way. So I would assume this is modern day. This is pre-apocalypse at this point, or he's in another universe, or this is just goofball-y.
If I fall, 'cause duct tape and sarcasm fix it all.
Because duct tape and sarcasm fix it all. My guy, this is why I say Spider-Man syndrome. Spider-Man talks and jokes the whole time that he fights. He is getting under his opponent's skin, making dumb jokes about their appearance, making dumb jokes about their oftentimes really, really dumb plans. Like the whole bit of Spider-Man talking to Sauron in the Marvel continuity when he's like, dude, you're like a genetics doctor with like a doctorate and all this knowledge. You could cure cancer with all that knowledge. In fact, you could cure cancer with the thing you made that turns people into dinosaurs. And so I was just like, I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. And I just think it's funny, like the juxtaposition of how Peter Parker just says what comes to mind as he's fighting. It's almost like a coping mechanism while he's dealing with what he's dealing with in front of him. He just keeps yammering on and talking. And this idea of like joking and being sarcastic through the entire fight is very similar with Psychro and how he's fighting everybody. Did he just set off a nuke? He sure did, didn't he? I just set off a nuke in his hands. Is this just more goofball-y, or is that like he actually has the durability to take a nuke like that? Dancing with ghosts in the afterglow. Are these Ghost Hunter characters? Or sorry, Ghostbusters. Are these Ghostbusters characters? Like, by which I mean generic Ghostbusters style characters, not actual characters from Ghostbusters. Also, I love Dapper Psychro. He made an appearance in the Pseudo-Gray video as well. I'm curious what he's drinking here. This almost looks like it'd be Coca-Cola. I am Psychro, dancing through the... See, here's where we're talking about the nuke going off. So I this is what gives me the idea that it's got a nuclear apocalypse going on. Apocalyptic show. I am Psychro. This whole idea of a character who just does not take the post-apocalypse any level of serious is something that I have just not seen in most post-apocalyptic media. The friendly survival. Again, is this Grizzly? Not sure. Survival specialist. And this is a very hyper-realistic fish. Is this also pre-apocalypse here, or are normal fish still a thing in the apocalypse? I fight the dark with shotgun. This is interesting. This strikes me as coming off as sort of an AI glitch, where he's firing a shotgun multiple times, but the AI gave it a machine gun flare instead of a regular shotgun situation. And maybe the answer to that was to keep this the same, but add this motion of him pumping the shotgun really fast while he's pulling the trigger. Also, interesting fact about this, it means that whatever shotgun he's using is capable of slam fire. This is completely off topic from the video, so I apologize. I'm going into a little bit of my own little personal rant, but slam fire was a thing shotguns had way back in like the World War I days, where you could just hold down the trigger and pump the pump on the shotgun, and every time you pumped it, the shotgun would fire another round. And that's not something that most modern shotguns can do anymore because it's considered very unsafe, but it was very popular with the soldiers in World War I and World War II. Pure stubbornness. Oh, right. This line. I fight the dark with shotguns and pure stubbornness. I remember putting a post up on X recently where I said I was reacting to a Night Owl post where he said, I'll succeed because I'm insane, and I replied with, I'll succeed because I'm stubborn. But I like this idea of just pure stubbornness gets you through everything, because you're just gonna like, there are people who just get through life that way. Like, stubbornness just gets them where they need to go. I think most of them kind of do have some concept on when not to be stubborn and when to be stubborn, but they're stubborn more often than not, and maybe they just get into situations where the stubbornness helps them more often than not. But I love this concept because already we're seeing that he just doesn't care about the post-apocalypse, so he just fights it with stubbornness and shotguns. Wait, hold on. This also looks like someone, and I'm trying to remember his name. This makes me think more and more that this is Grizzly, because this guy looks like, I want to say he's like dark something. He shows up in a lot of the videos in like sort of a wizard outfit. This is like a redesign for post-apocalypse. I'm not 100% sure if that's who I'm thinking of, but I don't remember his name. Is the problem. Oh, we got the anime eyes again while he shoots off his pistols. Do these have like engravings on them? No, that was just the blur. Skydiving! Oh yeah, this is like the ultimate I could not care less image. I feel like this would make an amazing thumbnail, just like the degree that he just does not care.
The city's burning, but I crack a grin.
Okay, this is important because this is what Psychro looks like under the mask. If I remember correctly, this video is either the first or second time that he gives us a glimpse at this. I think prior to this, most people didn't know what he looked like under the mask. His VTuber model has the mask on it. I don't think it has an unmasked version, or it didn't at the time. I know most of the cameos do not have him like this prior to this point. And even after this point, most cameos still show him in the gas mask, but there's a few, like Mr. Steal Your Man, for example, that show him in this mode with the face completely revealed. I think that was something that was kind of it was like a thing in the community. He didn't have a face for a while, I think, if I remember correctly.
Kick the door down, let the fight begin. I don't do quiet, I don't do tame.
I don't do quiet, I don't do tame. I turn the battlefield into a game. I know in the context of this, it's just like him doing more stuff. I really identify with I don't do quiet, I don't do tame. Despite the fact that when my Cyberpunk video comes out, it's going to be entirely antithetical to that idea. But most of the time, this is something I've always had trouble with in video games. Stealth takes a degree of patience, willingness to just sit there and wait and learn patterns and figure stuff out and not move until it is the right moment to move. I don't generally have that degree of patience. So I practice Russian stealth, or heavy stealth is the other name for it. That version of stealth is no one can witness my shenanigans if there is no one left to be witness. So I don't do quiet, I don't do tame really is something I vibe with because I have a lot of trouble doing quiet and doing tame. So a lot of the times what I end up with is I try to do stealth and then it fails and I'm just like, fuck it, I kill everybody.
The battlefield into a game. Bullets fly and the
I love this. Enemy down, health 100% despite looking like it's at 50. This is like the bonus gauge. Score 1500, so you've already killed 3 enemies.
walls all shake. I'm calling the shots that nightmares break. They think I'll fall, but I advance. A madman soldier with a fearless stance.
I love the idea of him using a missile as a melee weapon, and somehow when you hit it, like it's like a bat that's explosive when you hit them with it. So you hit them and then there's just an explosion, and most things are not going to expect that. This kind of almost looks like a mutated bat type enemy.
Laugh with me, don't look back. Spin the lever. Click.
I think the intention here was that he throws a grenade and it goes into his mouth maybe, but that didn't happen and the grenade just fell in front of him. It looked like it was lined up perfectly for that. See, like right here, here's where the grenade is. It looks perfectly lined up to go in his mouth, but then it doesn't. It lands in front of him. I guess it's not really a grenade. He's got like a detonator in his hand.
Click, clack. Fierce got fangs, but I
Knock, knock, who's there? Boo, boo hoo, don't cry, it's just a joke. Why did the chicken cross the road? Bro's out here figuring out his jokes while this monster's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. Again, we have the green glowy. That makes me think that he's got some kind of superpowers from mutations from the nukes or something. And here, like, he has a power gauge and a health gauge. Interesting. More I turn the battlefield into a game stuff.
got jokes in one.
Wait. I was hoping I could identify what kind of gun that was, but I can't.
In one green glow.
See, this right here is another great shot. That makes me think he has... This is like... You know what it makes me think of? This is like radiation Super Saiyan. That's what it looks like to me. Like radiation Super Saiyan. This is definitely an image. I'm not even sure what to say about it. But again, I think he has some kind of like superpower, super energy thing going on from the radiation.
Glow that never shows. Psychro, scarred, but
Also, I kind of like this. So something I think is interesting about this, again, we have the thing with the eyes. By putting this little like half moon here, he looks so much more dead serious. You combine that with the, let me see if we can see more of the mask design. The lighting, you got the lighting here with the dark, like there's very high contrast between the shadowed areas and the very bright lit areas. There's a very muted background. I don't remember if this brass ring was here in the front before. You could kind of see that the outfit is a little more like body armor-ish, and his coat is now redesigned to look more like a detective coat from the 1920s. And then the other important thing I think interesting to the design is the mask doesn't cover the whole face. It covers a lot of it, but you see his ear sticking out and there's a little bit of like skin back here. So the mask is very much clasped onto his face and not like covering the whole head like it does in other images. And he seems just way more dead serious, obviously a very film noir inspired design. I also love that with the magnifying glass in front of here, the mask does magnify. That's a very nice little touch.
But steady and I'll never.
I'm curious what these star things are. These look more like anime magic spell inspired here. Like he cast these magic spells and now
And I'll never slow.
he's got super speed.
Shout it back, let the whole world.
So this, you know, this is something, I don't know if this is the intent, but this looking area here, this is something I've always thought about with post-apocalypses, is if you wanted to be realistic about an apocalypse, especially one that's done by human hands, such as a nuclear apocalypse, you would find that while cities would probably resemble something from Fallout, you would probably find a lot of the world outside of major cities and major urban areas probably is not as altered as the urban zones are. The urban zones are going to be the ground zeros. So if we were to have a nuclear attack on the US, they would probably target places like New York, Chicago, Miami, Washington, D.C. See, New York and Chicago would be important cultural targets. Washington, D.C. is an important political target. You have cities like Phoenix, Arizona, or Albuquerque, New Mexico that are important because they're like resource production centers. You'll have other areas along the eastern seaboard and along the west coast that are important shipping trade hubs that would get targeted for that similar reasons. There's probably some cities like Boise that probably just don't have a significant reason. Boise in Idaho or Cheyenne in Wyoming, like they're not big trade centers. They don't do a lot of resource. Yuma would be an interesting one because Yuma actually feeds it's 90% of the US leafy green market during the winter months. So that might be a reasonable target as well. But I'm thinking of places like Boise and Cheyenne, and I don't think those cities would have a reason to be targeted generally. They're not really a political target. They don't really create a ton of resources comparative to my knowledge comparative to some of the other big cities that do a lot of the construction and working. And another thing you have to look at is distribution centers exist in a lot of these cities. You'll have military targets like Tucson, Arizona, and Oklahoma City, which have a military base on them. Houston and Dallas would also be targets for that reason. You have Phoenix also has the Luke Air Force Base. Colorado Springs has the Air Force Academy. Annapolis, Maryland has the Naval Academy. So you have these things would be like, there's good reasons to target these places. I don't know. You have a lot of places. I'm just thinking in the US. People think of the US through this lens of the big cities you see on screen, but there is a ton of just empty nothing land. You know, it's fertile farmland, stuff grows there, but we haven't really tamed it because there's a lot of it to tame and we just haven't gotten around to it. And then you have other places where the government said like, this is a preserve. We're not going to tame it because we want the raw resources here. So no one's allowed to go in and like build farms and whatnot here. We need the resources in these areas. And a lot of those areas wouldn't see massive change after a nuclear war physically. So like he's seeing here, this looks like a pretty normal, I mean, it's kind of fantastical in its design, but these are like, mesas are a real thing. These are mesas. And this is a real thing that exists in the southwestern deserts of the US. In New Mexico, Arizona, California, and parts of Texas, actually Utah has this too. This kind of geography exists, and it's probably not going anywhere if you drop a nuke on Washington, D.C., you know, or LA or Phoenix. Like the raw desert out in the middle of nowhere is probably not changing. I don't see that depicted very often, so I have a great appreciation for this.
The whole world knows I am Psychro.
See, this is what I'm talking about. You can't mistake this for anything other than a modern city, and he's driving a supercar in a modern city. The European way, on the wrong side of the street, by the way. Yes, I'm giving you shit for that, Psychro.
The friendly survival specialist.
I like, oh my god, Bob Ross too. I say, oh, is this supposed to be... So obviously he's like a chef here. I'm wondering if this is like channeling Gordon Ramsay, because he immediately follows it up with channeling Bob Ross for The Artist.
Fear's just noise and I can't resist.
Fear's just noise and I can't resist. I said this earlier, but I love that concept that he's pushed his fear down so far that it's just noise to him. He doesn't feel it anymore. Another great example of the entire world would not be changed, I think, by a nuclear apocalypse, is you have these alpine areas. Another thing about alpine areas like this, because they're so damn cold, a lot of stuff that has serious effects on the world outside of these alpine zones doesn't work as well here. Like, it dies. I don't know if radiation would do that, because technically the sun's heat is radiation. It's just non-ionizing radiation, whereas nuclear radiation is ionizing radiation. So I feel like these would probably be the parts of the world that are likely the least changed by a nuclear apocalypse. So I don't even see this as necessarily having to be pre-apocalypse. This could exist in the post-apocalypse, and it would probably look like this. The oceans, however, would definitely suffer change.
Talk, bang, bang, monsters flee. Wow.
I can't help but notice that a lot of these images with the guns, they don't really get a straight view. So I think this is oh wow, you're not even putting your finger on the trigger. Tisk, tisk. I suppose if you're not shooting something and you're just displaying, this would be the safe way to do it. I think a lot of the AIs have a problem with actually having the gun pointed straight at the screen. I remember hearing somebody tell me that that's an issue that the AIs have a lot of the times. Like it's something in their code they're not supposed to allow. So even though his hand here is pointing like it should be pointing at the screen, the AI forcibly moves the barrel to the side because it's not allowed to point it right at your face.
Wow, they scared of me. Slide to the left, shotgun spin, baseline drops and
Slide to the left, slide to the right.
chaos begins. Psychro, ready to fight.
Plays guitar.
Left through the night. Gas mask glow. I am Psychro. Don't you know? I am Psychro, survivor, fighter, and a friend, you know. I am
Oh yeah, this ancient magic of eating through the mask.
Psychro, a smile on my face when the shadows grow.
I really do like this design for the character.
I am Psychro, the friendly survival specialist.
I like the image of him like messing with his rifle to take a shot. I wonder how many options you would have to do that out in the open in the post-apocalypse.
When the night gets colder,
Ooh, another thing that is a common thing with nuclear apocalypses is the concept of a nuclear winter. I don't know if that's what's going on here, but I think it's a good chance to talk about it. I love the glow. It's so interesting to me because I feel like the glow's gotta come from the mask, because when we see him unmasked, he's got normal blue eyes. So the glow's gotta be something going on with his mask, which would lead me to believe that this part of the glow is not superpowers, but all the glow around his body has gotta be superpowers. Let's be real. But I mean, it's like mutated, whatever, but it's basically superpowers. But I just wanted to talk briefly about this concept of a nuclear winter. The idea being that so much nuclear cloud stuff is up in the atmosphere, and it gets so far up in the atmosphere it doesn't come down quickly. So it would cover a chunk of the earth in cloud cover thick enough that the sun doesn't really hit the earth for an extended period of time, like a period of decades to centuries. You don't get straight sunlight anymore, and there's just too many clouds in the sky, and the result of that is you do not have sunlight directly warming the surface of the earth, and so the surface cools significantly, and winter becomes a more normalized event everywhere, all the time, at all times.
still be cracking jokes. I am Psychro. Yeah.
I like the mutant bugs, the super bugs, very similar to like the rad scorpions and rad roaches of Fallout. Also, what the hell is this gun? This looks like it's supposed to be a shotgun, but then it's a flamethrower and it has a scope on it. And why would you need a scope on a shotgun or a flamethrower? I mean, I suppose you could use a scope if the shotgun shoots slugs, but huh? This has to be some AI jank.
Gas mask on and I'm ready to go. I am Psychro.
Brother, I'm gonna be 100% real. I don't think the maid outfit fits you, dog. Stick with the jackets. The jackets are better. They just fit better.
Shotguns blazing, take it fast or slow. I am Psychro. Dancing with ghosts in the afterglow. I am Psychro.
Again, we have this concept of the supernatural existing at the same time as the post-apocalypse, because post-apocalypse is normally a very science fiction-y setting, but you have this concept that that ghosts are a thing in this world.
I am Psychro, dancing through the apocalyptic show.
Also, I did want to point out, it's a blink and you miss it situation here, but there is a monster right here. And I guess the idea is he killed the monster and now he's looting a chest like a video game.
I am Psychro, dancing through the apocalyptic show. I am Psychro.
This medieval armor Psychro is so cool. Brother, I want to see more of this design. This design is so cool, bro. I also love this skull design. Not as much as the medieval one. The medieval one is peak, bro. Psychro in space. That's an interesting concept. Like maybe he leaves Earth to see if there's a less apocalyptic place he can live. Or maybe he has a ship orbiting the Earth that's more high technology. Or maybe he was abducted by aliens, I'm not sure. But this is an interesting concept. We don't see the alien concept brought up a lot in Post-Apocalypse, but Fallout definitely does have that in it.
Let the whole world know I am Psychro, the friendly survival specialist.
These monster designs kind of give me Monster Hunter vibes. Or like, oh, what was that game called? Like Remnant Rise from the Ashes or something like that? The thumbs up is definitely, like, that's a consistent motif he's had throughout this entire video. The thumbs up thing. I like the idea of him just like, it seems like all is lost because some super monster showed up and then he just kind of deals with it in 10 seconds and then he just turns around and is like, all good, I am here, you're fine. And I kind of have to pause it right there because otherwise I'm going to jump straight over here to Doom Eternal OST, which is a banger, but we're not covering that today. This was really, really good. Like, especially if you look at some of the stuff we see coming out now, I'm willing to bet that if I go to his channel and I watch whatever his most recent one is, there would be like an entire world of difference in the quality level of that video compared to this, because so much has changed in the AI space in the last 5 to 6 months that I think realistically we're seeing much more high quality content being created. And I think for this, he showed a lot of very cool concepts. I love the core concept of a character who doesn't care about the monsters. He's like kind of Spider-Man-y. He's like joking around all the time and using sarcasm. I'm trying to think. He's kind of got that All Might thing going for him. The I am here. I'll rescue you. You're fine. You know why? Because I am here. Like that attitude that All Might has in My Hero Academia. It's very present here as well. Sort of almost like a Scooby-Doo-y feeling to it too, except that he doesn't really care that the ghosts are there. He just vibing with them for the most part. There's another one, but I cannot for the life of me remember. Like a character who's just so nonchalant in a dangerous situation because to them it's just another day. And at the same time, he's just the kind of person who wants to help people out and do things to better people's situations. So it's a very interesting concept of a character. I feel like that this character could very easily go on to be Bash the Stampede is who I was thinking of from Trigun. He has a very similar happy-go-lucky, very much a goofball, but at the same time, he is one of the most dangerous, most skilled motherfuckers on the planet. So that's who I was thinking of, is Vash the Stampede. This guy gives me very Vash the Stampede vibes. So I enjoyed this thoroughly, man. Really, really well done. Seeing it for 5 months ago, I'm gonna have to watch a more recent one to see like what's changed in his sort of style of putting AI stuff together and doing it, because I feel like that's very much probably changed a lot. I bet his workflow is different now. I bet he's solidified very clearly like which AIs he uses for what things in his workflow at this point. I'm really excited to maybe watch a more recent video from him and see what's changed, because I want to see like the difference between this and that. It would be a very interesting look. So I enjoyed this thoroughly. I think this was very, very well done. I also just don't think there's much more I can say about it. It's just really, really good. So I think that'll be all from me, my curious scholars. Until next time, bye bye.